I have now given, this will be my 22nd Father's Day talk. So, every year when a talk comes up like this, you're like, well, what do I have to say different this year than I talked about last year? And interestingly enough, a lot has changed in a year. When you look at the man who wrote this, Cat Stevens, and by the way, thank you, Laurie Savage, Dr. Laurie Savage, for that incredible slide. What I realize when I look at that slide is that I'm both of those people. I'm the Son and I'm the Father. And all of us are. We're all both. We are all of it. So when I was looking up Cat Stevens, I realized that I didn't know much about him other than his hit songs. And so I looked up and just wanted to find out about the man that wrote this. And there was a point in his life where he got deathly sick and almost died. And while he was in the hospital fighting tuberculosis, he had a coming of age where he suddenly said to himself, all that I have as a pop star, and he was really wealthy and successful at this point, just doesn't compare to what I'm going through here with everyday people helping me to stay alive. And he left the business right after, and he stopped. And he dug into and really got into his spiritual side and converted to Islam, changed his name to Yusuf Muhammad. And then years later, 20-some-odd years later, when he decided to come back and perform again, at the request of his son, who said that he was not honoring who he was by taking his gift away from the world, and that's what got him back. And he basically came back saying, I'm going to come back, but I'm going to sing for God. I'm not going to sing for money. I'm not going to sing for fame. I'm not going to write for any of it. I'm going to sing for God. I'm going to sing for peace. I'm going to sing for mankind to love one another, all of which he found in the Quran. And he came back and called himself, and now you will find him when he performs, as Yusuf/Cat Stevens. And here's an interesting thing. When he started out as a songwriter, he actually started out, you ready? Because he wanted to write musical theater. That really got me. I was like, wow, that's exciting. So he started out writing a theater project. This song was part of a theater project, and it was a duet between a father and a son. And when he sings it, he sings the first verse very low in baritone, bass voice. And then in the second verse, he sings in his tenor voice, because the first verse is the father, and the second verse is the son. And the theater project was between a father and a son, the father trying to talk his son out of joining the Russian Revolution. That's what the show was about. He also said that the most impactful experience he ever had, and what changed his whole perspective, was when he saw West Side Story. So I thought, well, clearly this man knows what he's talking about. And for any of you in the room that doesn't know, I starred in West Side Story on Broadway. Did anyone not know that? Well, probably you didn't know that. But other than you, they all know that. Okay, so there are two perspectives in this song. There's the father's perspective, and then there's the son's perspective. So I want to go over this for a minute. The father says, I know it's not easy to be calm when you found something going on. The father talking to the younger self saying, I know that when you see things in the world that need changing, it's hard for you not to just run headfirst into a Russian revolution when you feel that this is what needs to be done. He says, but take your time. Think it out. Think it out. Think of everything you've got. Think of the world you live in, for you will still be here tomorrow, but your dreams may not. What a powerful lyric. You may be here tomorrow, but your dreams may not if you give away who you are. And then the son speaks up, and he says, from the moment I could talk, I was ordered to listen. Now, I would like to think that Will did not grow up in a household where he was taught to listen and not think, because we really did teach our children, tell us what you're thinking, then we'll tell you how to say it differently. But we did. We said, I want to know what you think. I want to know what you feel. From the moment I could talk, I was ordered to listen. I was. I was raised in a very military family. From the time I was born till the time I was about 10 or 12, it was always, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. You left the table by asking, may I be allowed to leave the table? It was a very regimented life. My father was a cop, was a Philadelphia beat cop in the beginning, then was on the moral squad. But it was all about listening. You did not question. You just listened. And he was a football coach, and my brothers, my older brother and I were the only ones there for about 7 years. He did everything. He was, whatever my dad said, it was yes. I was always the one who was like, however, I see another perspective, which, my mom was happy to hear, but my dad was not. So our relationship was very much like this. From the moment I could talk, I was ordered to listen. Now there's a way, and I know I have to go away. I know I have to go. And it's interesting hearing Will sing, I have to go away, because there's a very good chance he's going away, that he's moving to the other side of the country next year. And I've had agita about that. I've been like, why would he want to move away from me? And, then I got real about it, and I was like, because he's his own person. And he has to go do what's his to do. Doesn't stop a father or a mother from having pain about it and feelings about it. I don't know that my dad had too many when I was like, I'm leaving, okay. That was our relationship. Now, in the final verse, the son becomes the father, and the father becomes the son. All the times that I've cried, keeping all the things I knew inside, it's hard, but it's harder to ignore it. And I can watch Will, as he grows up, being willing to start feeling what kids don't normally want to feel and dealing with those things. And all of us have that in us. There's still that kind of reluctant child inside of us that doesn't want to deal with all the crap. Anybody? Yeah. And but when we do, and when we're willing to listen to it and look at it and deal with it, it's amazing how much light shines through all of that darkness. And I love this lyric. If they were right, I'd agree. But it's them they know, not me. There is something inside of you, Tiffany, that knows who you are so clearly, and it doesn't matter what anyone else tells you. That's the truth for every single one of us. Now there's a way, and I know I have to go away. So we're all fathers and sons. We are all sons and daughters. There's a part of you that is always guiding you. And this is the spiritual side of this. There's a part of you, there's a thing inside of you that you are, that always, always loves you, always takes care of you, always guides you, has every answer. We like to think that our fathers have all the answers, and some of us do, but not all fathers do. But some fathers do, and you know what fathers do? The inside father. The father inside, that intuition, that knowing in your gut that you know what to do, when to do it, where to go, what to be, and who to bring into your life. All of that's there. Ernest Holmes wrote this. He said, the starting point of all creation is the word of spirit. The word is the concept, the idea, the image, or the thought of God. It is the self-knowing mind speaking itself into manifestation. There's something in you that speaks up and says, move to New York City. And when you're willing to listen and you're willing to go and follow it, then you know, I have to go. Because there's something in you, Dr. Liza, that is showing you the way. There is an inner guide that is showing you all the way. You just have to be willing to be a listening participant with that Father in you. So, Ernest Holmes says that we're always interacting with the self-knowing at all times. But here's my question. Why don't we listen? Because there's the intuitive knowing inside, and then there's all this stuff out here that we listen to. Our family, our friends, the television, the news, newspapers, everything that comes this way at us, we tend to be subject to. But if we have the power within to know who we are and listen to something inside, you can buck the system no matter what. The greats of the world have not listened to what they're hearing, they've listened to what they're knowing, and they bring it forth. So what's yours? What is yours to bring forward? What is yours to do in not the world, but what is yours to do in your world? So my dad did something uncharacteristic for him, and it was when my mother died. And when she died, he kind of went a little crazy, which makes sense. And we had two children. He had two children, my two younger brothers, that were still in grade school. So I had already learned how to become the mother in the family and take care of my brothers, take care of my mother, feed, cook, do the laundry. I used to do that. Do the laundry. All the stuff that my mother did, I took over. And there was a point in my junior year of college when my mother died. She died on the first day of school, September 4th, 1974. And I was going into my junior year of college. And someone came along and said to me, a writer, a composer, came to me and said, I've written a new musical called Young Ben Franklin, and I'd like you to star in it. But we're going to be going to Detroit and all these. And he said, and we're ending in New York City at Town Hall, so you'll get your New York debut. And I went to my father and I said, so I might have to flunk out of my first semester of college because I really want to do this. And my father looked at me and he said, here's the deal. If you stay here, you will be their mother until they grow up and ready to leave. Otherwise, I suggest you run. So up to that point, this had been a man that I was like really in odds with it in all ways. They played football. I was a ballet dancer. You know, my brother didn't go to college. He just went right into the police force, just like his dad. I was studying to be an actor. We just had nothing in common. Nothing. Until that moment. And he said that to me. And so I went to New York and I never looked back. Never looked back. I was only 20 years old. I went to New York, starred in this show, and my career began. You know, and within a few years, I was starring on Broadway. And I have to tell you, when my dad came to see West Side Story on Broadway, he was really surprised. And I'd done West Side Story in high school. A little different. This was on Broadway with Jerome Robbins. And he came to see it, and he was really surprised, but he said nothing. He saw the show. We went out for dinner afterwards. He basically said, it was good, liked it, and went back to Philadelphia. And then wrote me a letter telling me that I had done all the things he would have liked to have done. Because my dad was a singer. He was an actor. I actually got him a job. I got him an audition once for this thing called Take My Wife, Please. It was some play, and I said, Dad, they're casting this role. You should come audition for it. And he did. He auditioned for it, and they gave him the part. Then he went home and read the scene with my mother, and she said, absolutely not. And he didn't do it, which made me really sad. I was like, you're going to let her tell you not to do it? He goes, yup. So that was that. So what is your relationship, not just to your father, but to yourself? Do you give that voice in you the credit it deserves? Do you listen to that voice in you that says, run, go do what is yours to do? And it's telling you that because it knows who you are. It's telling you that because you have everything. Imagine this. I wish my father had said, go, run, go to New York. I will pay for everything. He didn't say that. He just said, go. Go to New York. I will pay for everything. I will make sure every single thing you do that you fully believe in succeeds. He didn't say that either. He just said, go. Go. Well, there's something inside of you that if you really get in touch with it, is telling you that. I will support everything you do. We are part of a quantum field, and that quantum field is a subjective listening energy that says yes to whatever you say yes to. You say yes to fear, fear shows up. You say yes to success, success shows up. You say yes to love, Kevin Bailey shows up. You say yes, and the universe says yes. That's how this quantum field works. The greatest gift we have is choice. You are a choice with every single thing you do. I have another child who's here in energy, our daughter, Nora. And on the very last day of her life, she was standing on the stage singing and had a what's that called? Crisis of the soul that day, where she was just losing it because she had to go back to UCLA that night. And she hated it. She hated college. She hated school. She didn't want to be in UCLA. She had almost gotten that big starring role in a huge movie with Meryl Streep. She didn't get it, but she knew she could have, and she wanted to just start her life. And she said two things to me, one of which I sent her around my entire new musical. And she said, just because I'm good at something doesn't mean I have to do it. Because she was really good and really smart and really, she could ace anything. She goes, just because I'm smart doesn't mean I have to be in college. And then she said, just because everyone thinks it's right for me doesn't make it right for me. Because there's something inside of you that absolutely knows. So the title of my talk today is this: Thor, Proud Apple. That's it. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But if we're talking about the tree as being God and being the infinite quantum field of pure possibility, then you are all apples. We are all apples. But we got to be a proud apple. Do you get it? I gave this title to Lori and she went, what does this talk about? I went, I don't know. Just put the slide up. It's the proud apple. We have to be proud of where we came from. We have to be proud and remember who we are. I am this infinite field. I am the voice inside of me saying, go, do it now. We are all apples falling from the tree. And that's the great thing. You never really go anywhere. Even though you fall from the tree and you become this individual Rosie who's living her own life, she's still connected to that tree because she is the tree. We are all backed by this infinite field of pure possibility, pure potentiality, right, Carol? You are the potential of the universe as you just singing and letting it all out, yes? Sky's the limit, right? Whatever you want, right? Have at it, right? Go. There. That's how this works. So you are the father experiencing life as the son or as the daughter. You are all of this in this. And sometimes I think we don't remember that. We're the apple that fell from the tree. You know what happens when an apple falls from a tree and disconnects from the tree? Yeah, it rots. Now, the good news is it rots, goes back into the ground, and comes back up as a tree. But do you really want that to happen? I mean, why do we need to go through that? Why not just stay attached? Why not just remember who we are? So let's be proud of that. And by the way, let's also learn to listen a little bit more. To really listen to that thing inside, to that voice inside, and be proud that I am that voice. I am that field. I am proud to have been a son. I am really proud to be a father. And I am especially proud of remembering that I am both at all times. I am the voice that speaks. I am the ears that listen. I am the knowing that comes forth. I am the mind that understands it. I am the life of all things. I am the individual life that lives right in this moment and has an infinite array of possibilities before me, as you all do, at all times, no matter what, because you are the very thing itself. Namaste.